The United States has repeatedly spoken out against China and its censorship of the internet. But it looks like the latest WikiLeaks release could lead to similar action happening to internet here in the United States. And according to a report, the Obama administration may introduce a bill that would allow law enforcement to spy on internet communications through emails and social networking websites. So will WikiLeaks lead to a new Patriot Act for the internet? Well, joining me to help discuss this is investigative journalist Wayne Madsen. So, Wayne, after this pressure from the U.S. government to shut down WikiLeaks, Amazon and PayPal decided to boycott the website. And in retaliation, a community of hackers decided to boycott those websites. It seems like now's the perfect time for the government to start regulating the internet, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you've got people like Senator Joe Lieberman from Connecticut, who's the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, calling for an investigation of the New York Times for publishing the WikiLeaks cables. Now, it's too bad in this country that idiocy by our public officials isn't a crime, because if it were, Joe Lieberman would probably be doing 30 years to life in prison for it. But the agenda is there, and the agenda's been there for an awful long time. During the Clinton administration, there was an attempt by the Republicans and some Democrats to put through what they have in Britain, a D notice, which would exercise prior restraint on journalists from publishing what the government considers to be classified information. So we've got the door open. Pandora's box is opened, and now we're seeing all the people with the agendas starting to make noise, like Lieberman. He's not the only one. There's others. Napolitano is probably looking at the same thing, as is Eric Holder, the Attorney General.
Yeah, it's interesting because you talk about agenda when it comes to internet freedom or censoring the internet or regulating the internet, whatever you want to call it. But even the content of the memos that were released through WikiLeaks seem to kind of line up a lot with some of the United States government's other agendas, whether it be Iran, Venezuela. Yet, you know, Julian Assange has kind of come out to be viewed as sort of evil and a traitor. There seems to be something weird going on there.
There is, and, you know, we just don't know enough about Assange. It looks like now some of the people who were with WikiLeaks have now bolted from his organization. There's a report in a Lebanese newspaper that Assange earlier this year met with Israeli officials to make sure that nothing that would be damaging to Israel from these cables, particularly the 2006 Israeli attack on Lebanon and the later attack on Gaza, that none of those cables would be in his release. And they weren't. We don't have any of those. So we see some games being played here, games within games, sort of like the Russian doll you open when there's another one in there. And I think that's what we've got here with all the agendas starting to come together, which the ultimate thing, we already know they're considering the end of net neutrality. Well, that's another area we have to look at. But I think the freedom of the internet is under a vicious attack right now by this administration, and in some respects, the Obama administration actually is worse than the previous Bush administration on some particular issues.
And in your opinion, do you think this is going to lead to a Patriot Act for the internet? And what would that look like? What would that mean for regular Americans?
Well, I think what we could see is, like we see in certain other countries, licensing of people who have websites, massive government surveillance of everything from the PDAs, the BlackBerries, all the way to the more sophisticated computer systems. So I think this is what we face, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see much from this new Congress, although they talk libertarian and Tea Party. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of any pushback on Obama. To his credit, Bill Clinton did veto legislation that would have put a D-notice regime in this country. Bill Clinton vetoed that, and I don't think we're going to see a veto on such a move by Obama. To paraphrase a debate some years ago, Barack Obama is no Bill Clinton.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see how this WikiLeaks release is going to kind of affect what the internet means for us in the United States. Wayne Madsen, thanks so much for your analysis.